Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Fight Focus.
And for today's video, we will be covering the scariest face-changing knockouts ever seen in MMA.
Also, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and comment what video you want to see next. Let's get to it.
Obviously, when you're getting punched by another person or have Edson Barbosa kick your head off, it's going to cause your face to look like the UFO Joe Rogan is trying to find. With that much speed and power, it is borderline impossible to eat a punch and still have your face remain to look like Jocko Willink. Everyone that has gotten caught with the beautiful strike in slow-mo has had this happen, but there are a few notable ones where the photographer caught the photo at the right time. For this video, we've compiled the list of instances where MMA fighters got smacked so hard to where their face looked like a steamrolled action figure. Number 12, Frankie Edgar. Man, this one had Frankie look more like Frankenstein. This crazy matchup came at UFC 268 when Frankie Edgar faced off against Marlon Vera. After the fight would break up at the end of the second round, Frankie would get up in Vera's face, which the Ecuadorian would make him regret in the next round. As the second round started, both fighters began to exchange again, but with a little over a minute left, Vera landed a crazy front kick that had Frankie age 80 years in just 0.6 seconds. Though this strike didn't have Frankie completely out, the ref decided he had seen enough and stopped the fight after he would get pounced on. Number 11, Tony Ferguson. Tony and Frankie were twins after this crazy knockout occurred, courtesy of Michael Chandler.
Honestly,
This highly anticipated fight ended in a way no one thought it could. Chandler was the first person to ever completely knock out the MMA legend, and he did it in Anderson Silva fashion. This insane finish came in the second round in the first 15 seconds. Both fighters circled around the cage, but the first real strike that was thrown was the front kick. Like literally no one swung a punch or a kick. Chandler's kick was the only strike in that whole round that actually connected and was thrown. It was hard to watch Tony completely faceplant like he did, especially since Chandler successfully made him look like Abraham Lincoln. Number 10, Jose Aldo. What Conor did to Aldo was totally insane, but his face when he got knocked out was even more insane. A little less than 7 years ago, Conor put Jose Aldo away in 13 seconds to claim the featherweight title. This was one of the craziest outcomes of a fight considering the dominant image the Brazilian had on the division at that time. What's even crazier is how fast that left cross came and sideswiped Jose's face, causing him to drop and thus prompt the end of the bout. Looking back at the photos and videos, Conor landed a picture-perfect strike that Jose had left open for him. The effect it had was no joke. Number 9, Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Ronda Rousey got a taste of her own medicine with her tough gal personnel. The show she put on backfired pretty hard.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt. Is in trouble. She's hurt. Holly looking to finish. Holly Holm is the new UFC bantamweight champion.
Holly Holm was single-handedly responsible for one of the biggest UFC upsets ever seen in the sport. What was crazy was how Ronda predicted what Holly would do and still failed to prevent it. For all the head movement Edmund would try to help Ronda train with, it still wasn't enough to stop her from looking like the gingerbread man. Even Amanda Nunes had a fun time with making Ronda look like a fish out of water by putting her away by way of TKO. Number 8, Rashad Evans. Onto one of the scarier knockout faces seen in the sport of MMA.
That one he took in the body. Oh, another shot. He's getting teed off on. He's down. He's out. It's all over.
Rashad was one scary dude in that cage, but Lyoto would disassemble that fear by making his opponent completely out of consciousness in their matchup at UFC 98. This terrifying KO came in round 2 and did not disappoint one bit. It all started with Lyoto dropping Rashad and had him get back up and wobbled up against the cage. The flurry the Brazilian put on caught Rashad on the face and had him out for the count. Rashad, looking like a Walking Dead extra, was out cold on the mat as Lyoto would walk away the winner. 7, Alan Patrick. This fast knockout was super scary, but so were the follow-up shots on the down fighter.
Not quite as keen to engage in this.
Oh, heavy left.
Four-punch combination.
Michael Johnson.
When Michael Johnson met Alan Patrick in the cage, he showed him just how fast his hands were. The super fast finish came in the second round when Michael landed an insane combo that had Patrick's chin land on his own shoulder. After this would land, it had Patrick crumple to the ground dazed, till Michael would land a few more punches till his opponent would remain out. The photos of this crazy punch landing was insane to see since it landed so clean on Alan's face. Number 6. Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker has simply done it all: the worm, the ragdoll, and the inflatable man.
Moving like this, you got to dodge the crazy punches.
Oh my gosh! That's
Jamal
it!
Hill
Laid him out!
putting another opponent to sleep.
This knockout occurred in the first round and showcased why Jamal is a scary man to face. The first round wasn't even finished, and Hill had landed a crazy right hand on the forehead of Walker, having him look like a man that drank a bottle of Johnny Walker Double Black. Just look at his crumpled face after the knockout occurred. Jamal thought he still wasn't done and decided to fly in with 2 more hands in an attempt to rip off the Brazilian's jaw. Number 5. Austin Lane. Greg Hardy showed us 2 things in his career. One, that he can throw some cinder blocks for hands, but also that he can get knocked out. Lucky for him, we will show him causing the knockout.
Hard part of the pun.
This was brought to us by Greg Hardy when he faced off against Austin Lane on Dana White's Contender Series 9. This strike was about the same effect of letting a train hit your bottom jaw. The fight didn't even last a minute due to Greg winding up his right hand that had Austin's jaw go on vacation in the Bahamas. After his jaw would come back into place, he would stand up just to get fed another punch with virtually no defending at all. Number 4. Rich Franklin. This punch had Rich Franklin's face look like he's been facing chronic constipation.
Been nursing a foot injury leading up to this fight. Huge right hand. Conley has done it. Rich Franklin is out. How about Conley?
The knockout itself was beautiful just because of how it had Rich's body turn into a dummy filled with jello. It all started and ended in round 1 when Rich dropped his hands and allowed a monster right hand from Lee to land across his chin, having him dropped as well. This finish was pretty crazy to watch, but seeing how fast it landed on Franklin's face and seeing the photos of the effect is even crazier. Number 3. Vitor Belfort. Anderson Silva helped Vitor's foot fetish by throwing his own foot up in his opponent's brain.
Second to none.
Back then, when Anderson wasn't losing a fight to a YouTuber, he was one of the most terrifying mixed martial artists the world has ever seen. Vitor felt this knockout firsthand. Well, felt it first foot, I guess. Vitor's face looked completely empty as his landed, but the constipation face kicked in till he would fall to the ground. 2 more punches from his Brazilian opponent was all it took till Mario Mazzagatti would end the fight. Number 2. Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold conceived, believed, and achieved to look like a kid about to throw up from eating too many brownies.
Much time being spent. Wow!
This knockout occurred in the second round when the legendary Polish power would land a combo that had Luke in dreamland. This happened after both fighters were clinched up against the cage. After they would break apart, Jan would land a right then left hand that would drop Rockhold instantly. A few more punches while on the ground was all it took to send Luke back to the 3rd grade. It's one of the gnarliest looks we've seen from a strike. Number 1. Frank Camacho. Jeff Neal Hands of Steel also showed it wasn't just his hands that can make his opponents look like a lifeless dummy.
Right on the button that many times.
This insane kick came in the second round on his opponent Frank Camacho. The shin landed right on the chin of his opponent, making him look like Popeye the Sailor with one eye open. This had Camacho out almost instantly as his body would go straight Kamaru Usman and flop to the ground with no control. The kick had Frank's mouth go to his own ear. That's how scary the kick actually was. And that right there concludes this video. If you made it this far, let us know how we did in the comments below.